Do you remember the time when I was hungry and all you gave me to eat were posters?
Oh, hi there! It's your old pal Jack Hurley back again with another episode of 4 Poster Neds. And look, I'm working on a topical poster. And why is it topical? It's topical because I'm angry. I'm angry with our next guest. Why? Well, let us count the ways. Number 1. He comes over my house with cans of Guinness and makes me drink them. Number 2, he's got a potty mouth, so, you've been forewarned. Number 3, he goes on for ages about posters. Like, I know I told him to, but, do you know? And then number 4, he bought the world's worst poster into my homestead. Oh, I am so angry right now. Cue the annoying theme tune.
It's almost a Neds, it's almost a Neds, go and tell your mom. It's almost a Neds, it's almost a Neds, it's almost a Neds, go and tell your mom. It's almost a Neds, and I'm not good at writing songs.
Hi everybody, we're back again with 4 Poster Neds, and I'm here with Mike. Mike from North or Nowt.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good. A little bit rained on.
You are
but
quite
all good.
damp.
Yeah, all good. Apart from that, yeah.
Excellent. And why have I brought you here, Mike? Why have I brought you here? Why are you poster adjacent? What qualifies you for this, if anything?
Well, it's debatable, but so by day I teach at a higher education institution in Leeds, which we won't name, but I teach there printing. So I teach screen printing and all sorts of types of printmaking, so teaching students and other people out in the world how to make posters. And then by night I run North or Nowt, which is my sort of print moniker name that I've come up with over the years, last 6-7 years or so, whatever it is. And yeah, we specialise in gig posters essentially, and sort of anything and everything that can go onto paper. So yeah, hopefully what I got to talk about is relevant and vaguely poster adjacent.
I have a feeling that it'll be very poster adjacent. And if you've been to like a punk gig in Leeds, Mike probably did the poster for that at some point.
Or fought someone to try and do the posters for it and maybe been unsuccessful.
Maybe missed out in the bloody poster combat.
It's a cutthroat business in Leeds. There's a lot of us trying to do it, but a lot of good people doing it as well, which is cool.
But the thing is, I mean, like one of the reasons that I really wanted you on is like you know how they're made. You know how they're made.
I've got the means of production and the ability to design them, which is quite a bit of a rarity sometimes.
Yeah, because I'm one of these just very flouncy, soft-handed illustrators. I press Control P and I hope for the best, but you know the things that happen. And I imagine Mike's going to be quite upset because my printer is filled with sublimation ink and set to print everything back to front. So
I mean, you can turn it to print the right way around.
I could do, but that would mess with the whole scheme of things.
Okay.
And I'm not doing that. But.
Okay, but yeah, I mean, I won't judge you on it. It's fine. I knew I should have done my own printouts. It was in my head. I was like, should I? And then I was like, no. You'll have done some. It'll be fine. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I got the fortunate thing that, like you say, I know I do a lot of the making as well as designing. When I started out, those two things probably were out of whack with each other. So the making was fine, but the designing wasn't very much up to scratch. And then we've sort of like leveled the two out now, so I can design a bit better than I once did. And hopefully I've not gotten worse at printing, and hopefully just got a little bit better at printing. So yeah, those kind of two skills have joined up with each other a little bit more now, which is quite nice.
You are a happy equilibrium.
Yeah, feel like I'm at a good place with what I do.
Outstanding. Now, before we get into posters, I have a feeling, just knowing you, that you took this request very seriously.
Yeah.
Solemnly.
I agonised over it for a little while. But like because I've done a kind of similar one of these before, where I've done almost like a Desert Island Discs thing with my buddy Jake of Sunliner, and I got really wound up with that because I was like, that idea of the only things you're going to listen to for the rest of your life. And then when I was sort of thinking about this though, and what you're proposing to me here, for a long time before, I was really in my head, I had that Desert Island mentality of like, these are the only 4 things I'm going to look at for the rest of my life. And I was like, no way, that isn't the premise of this. This is just talking about things that I like and don't like. So if next week I would have chosen 4 different things, then that's fine. So once I kind of got into that mentality, I was like, okay. But then I was also like, how can I use my 4 choices? A bit of a cheat, really. I think I've cheated with most of these, and we're going to talk about much broader things than just the posters that we've selected. Because even this first one, it's not like my favourite of that artist, but it's the first one that I saw of that artist, which is why it's like there in my head. But
you bought stuff as well.
Yeah,
there's stuff everywhere.
We've got books, Squeegee, the European gig poster scene. We got this by Gaffello and Hellsguard. We've got reference material.
Oh my god!
We got Crap Pound. We got all sorts.
Oh, it's all going on.
And we've got some of my own posters as well. Maybe we'll bring those out in a little bit. But yeah. I don't know. I've been thinking. It's been weighing on my mind a lot.
Did you get cross at any point with it?
When I finally figured out the poster I don't like, I got really annoyed because I remembered how much I disliked the poster.
To be fair, I'm quite cross about that poster.
But I think that was the one I was really struggling with for a long time, because I was kind of like, well, if I don't like something, it doesn't stick in my head too much. Like, something has to be really offensively bad for many reasons, whether that's just poor graphic design, awful content, and awful subject matter. It's something. There's not really many things that I don't like that stick in my head. There's lots of things that I do like and that stick in my head constantly, because I'm just always looking at the things I like. You very rarely will knowingly go out of your way to find things you don't like, because that's the whole point of what we do, right? We're looking at the things we like and then trying to either recreate them, or we're trying to like take away from them and take things we like from those things and make other things. But very rarely does it happen the other way around, where you search out the things that you hate.
I think I actually do spend quite a lot of time searching out the things I don't like. But
I guess, a lot of yours is you're pinpointing the qualities of places that perhaps one may find
this is
distasteful and unpleasant.
This is true. I do. I find joy in other people's suffering, which isn't a great look, but it's a look nevertheless.
Yeah.
So if people want to find your stuff, where are they going to find your stuff?
So we're on Instagram. If you search North or Nowt, you'll find us there. We do have a website, www.northornowt.com, and that's mainly sort of a big archive of just everything we've done in the past. I'm pretty terrible at updating my website. I have to give myself a big kick in the pants every now and again to be like, oh, I've done a year's worth of work. I should probably put it online. Mainly, we're on Instagram. If you're out at any punk shows in Leeds, you may see us there.
There's one coming up.
We've got one. Well, we've got one that we're promoting. And we're sort of organising along with our good friends, Pyrophone Bookings. We're bringing Pew Pew Pew, the Canadian punk rock band, to Leeds at Wharf Chambers.
Mid-20s skateboarder.
Yeah, exactly. If you're an aged punk and you want to like the idea of being able to drink in the daytime, or the idea of being able to skate, this will be a good gig for you. Everyone will sort of be able to just have a nice little sit down and a cup of tea afterwards, and we can all have a little rest. So that's our promo for that.
That'd be nice.
And we'll have a completely separate screen print poster for the show as well that we'll sell. We just printed some posters up for another designer the other day for the Van Pelt that played at Wharf. I've got some more things in the pipeline. We've got Protomartyr coming up. We've got Screaming Females, Dits, all of those at the Brudenell, I think. So there's lots of things in the works at the moment. But
outstanding. And without further ado,
let's get down.
Let's get down to your first choice. What's your first choice, Mikey?
So first one, do I need to hold it up, or is that?
No,
it's going to be the magic of.
It's going to be
TV.
on my magic green screen here. Okay. You can do a little weather report at the end if you want.
That'd be cool.
Tiny weather report.
Okay, so we don't need to. So our first one is it's a poster by Print Mafia, who are from Kentucky, USA. They're a duo by Jim and Connie. They no longer exist under that moniker of Print
Mafia.
They're not
dead or anything.
No, they just went their separate ways and they kind of do their own separate thing now. But so this poster, it's one of the first ones I ever saw of theirs, and it's kind of one of the first real times I've been aware of gig posters, really, in many ways. So anything past that wasn't just promoing something that was coming up, something that was intentionally made to be then sold at a show. And the poster it's just this cool little weird kid wearing this. It's not even a devil costume that they're wearing. It's clearly like a bunny costume or like an animal costume. But then they're holding this little pitchfork, and they put the pitchfork that was on a little bib was in bright red in the actual poster. The actual band that it's for, Elf Power, I'm not a massive fan of. I don't really care about the actual band that this one is about. For me, it was really just like the imagery was just so arresting for me, and it's so kind of simple as well. And it's just, again, it's that idea that beforehand, whenever you're seeing promo posters, always it's just the most recent album artwork of that band, or it's a fucking portrait of the band. And I just fucking hate that shit. Like, and I don't get. Even now, when I do gig posters for people, sometimes people want that. Bands are like, well, we'd rather just have like a cool portrait of the band, like doing stupid poses, and it's just like, no one actually wants that poster on their wall. But so what the Print Mafia posters really did for me, they really sort of opened up this idea that like, realistically, a gig poster can have anything on it. Like, you can do whatever the fuck you want, as long as it's got the venue, the date, and the band.
Yeah.
You're pretty much sorted.
Yeah.
And within those remits, you can just do anything else. So that really opened that idea up to me, and then that sort of like pushed me to ending up doing the kind of things that I do. So I don't really stick to any sort of one fixed way of working or way of finding imagery. I just find things that I find interesting, and then I take from there, and then I either cut it up and manipulate it, or I literally just take something and use it as it is. In a pretty similar way to how Print Mafia were doing it. They've got this like real nice cut and paste collage effect style that they do. I mean, the reason that theirs have got such a nice like style and aesthetic though is they make all their positives by hand. So the positives are the things that you've got to use to make the different layers of your screen print. So if we're going to get into the screen print technicalities, so your positives are like your building works, your frameworks, foundations of the different layers of your screen print, because your screen print works in layers of color. And the way that they make all of their positives, or the way they used to at least anyway, was it was all analog made, handmade, but it's all using digital imagery. So it's kind of like, for me, that was like a radical way of approaching it. They do things with a photocopier that like you just wouldn't have any idea of how like it was possible, and they just use like a crappy Xerox photocopier, and the amount of stuff they've done for the amount of people is just insane. If you're vaguely interested in gig posters and the history of gig posters, just look up Print Mafia. They've literally done something for like every single type of genre, even though this style they've got is like real punk aesthetic and real sort of cut and paste. They've done stuff for like Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys and like all sorts of like other crazy things, like Dolly Parton. They did a Dolly Parton poster as well, and it's like some just amazing things. And what I always really loved about theirs as well, they weren't sticking to an A paper size format. They've taken on this really like theatre handbill.
Yeah.
So long, thin posters.
It's incredibly long, this.
Yeah, their
it's
ones
going to really stretch my green screen down here.
I think they were like, there's like 50, 60 centimetres on and they're like 30 wide. I've got one of their posters in my house. I got one of theirs at the Bronx. One of the best bands in the world, obviously.
You never talk about them.
Never talk about the Bronx at all. If I get a chance to talk about music, we will talk about the Bronx. But so we've got one of their Bronx ones in our house above our fireplace. But yeah, because I saw them doing this kind of style and this size and shape, that then mimicked what we ended up doing. So I've got some examples here of some of the things we've ended up producing over the years. So we got dwarves.
Go. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I felt pretty happy to get that one actually. Like they're a pretty big band, they're quite kind of like a cult classic kind of thing. Really, they're a little bit. They divide people. I think a little bit.
They do.
We didn't have any penises on this, which I think probably was against their whole aesthetic. There's no penises here, or naked women.
Yeah, that's very undwarfy. I'm pro dwarves. I'm definitely. I'm on the pro dwarf line.
I mean, we got TV Priest. I've started listening to them recently. Quite a nice sort of. They're like a British proto-martyr kind of thing. Kind of like, lo-fi, gloomy, doomy, shoegaze kind of thing. I was very happy with that. I was trying to create this kind of tension between the idea of, that feeling of holding your hand over...
I'm really into
over
that.
something like that, over a candle. We got Martha, one of my favourite bands to work with. They're so nice. I mean, the more and more I've been doing gig posters, that you'd sort of develop nice little relationships with bands or whatever. Some bands are easier to work with than others, and Martha are definitely up there as like the nicest people to work with. Pretty much every time they just do whatever.
Yeah.
Bring it along. We'll show it. We'll sell it. So I was pretty happy with this one. just this silly guy again. This guy was in one of the Crap Hound magazines, so one of these fantastic reference catalogues.
I've never seen these.
You never seen them?
I've never seen them.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So they're brilliant. They're just like a huge mix of different themes.
Yeah.
And you have a little look if you want.
Let's have a look.
Every single issue is a different theme, and it's just loads of kind of old school clip art.
Yeah.
And a lot of the compiling, it's not just like a one person show that does a lot of the compiling. It's a lot of people that are submitting and contributing to it. But it's basically one of these like great resources for taking from and then manipulating and all that kind of stuff. In the UK, if you're going to buy Crap Hound, essentially you can only get it from one person, Mark Pawson, down in London. He's basically the only distributor.
The Crap Hound pusher.
He is basically the Crap Hound pusher of the UK. So if you're interested in those, go look him up. But yeah, so a lot of my stuff is using that, and this is pretty simple. It was this guy, and then I found an image of a broom, and we just photoshopped that.
Nice.
There we go. Turn his
Very
face
nice.
red. Preoccupations. I was trying to sell this design for a long time. Peter Lorre. Hilariously, last time we did a Preoccupations one, it was also a Peter Lorre design, so we've done 2 designs for this one band, and it's always been Peter Lorre so far.
And with these hands
yes.
and this face, are you Xeroxing these?
So this is like just fancy Photoshop filters. So it's a mixture of the filter on the filter gallery function.
Yeah.
Because I wanted that Xerox feel, and I was like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
So I did what any person in their mid-30s did. I went on YouTube and I said, Xerox, Photoshop. And then I just followed a little tutorial. And that's like just changed my life and making positives and making design work and artwork. So we've got a similar thing going on here with this Martha one again. So it was like this nice Greek photograph of this Greek bust. And then I put this nice filter on it to create this kind of Xerox texture tonal. And then drew back into it and turned it all into positives. And we get this nice sort of little mix of things. Yeah, I mean, I think if people were to look alongside the Print Mafia back catalogue and then what we've produced ended up with Northorn Art, they'd probably go, yeah, I can see the similarities there. Some of it's quite nicey. Some, I quite like the interplay of things that are, not everything's creepy and weird like this guy for Protomart.
He's pretty creepy and weird.
He's pretty creepy and weird. Not everything's like that. Some of it's a bit more tame. Because, designs like this don't sell for every band. Some bands don't want this. Like we did a recent one when we did Preoccupations, that Peter Lorre one. Originally I proposed a design with a clown on it, and they were just like, no fucking way.
No.
I
mean, like, it is clowns. Clowns are like...
No clowns.
They are like kryptonite.
Yeah.
To some people.
Again, it's one of those very dividing things. But then I proposed the exact same design to Screaming Females, and they were like, yes. We are into
pro-clown.
That, for sure. So that worked out quite nice, because I didn't have to make a new design. I just... I just put a new band name on the top, and it's the same venue, so I didn't even change that type.
Brilliant! Oh, that's glorious when that happens.
So just cheating it a little bit, but yeah. So for me, like I say, like Print Mafia is really like the big starting point for why I even do things the way I do it now.
Yeah.
Like the format size that I work with, it's down to that original sort of starting point of seeing them. And obviously, like, there's so many other great gig poster makers and printers out there in the world as well, and a lot of them are just doing fantastic stuff with different genres, different bands. People sort of find their little niches and your little communities, and you end up probably just working with just one sort of area. But Print Mafia seems to sort of buck that trend a little bit and work with anyone and everyone that wants to work with them.
And this sort of Xeroxy, slightly scuzzy effect, because you can tell that a lot of work has gone into this, but a lot of work has gone into it to make it look like a lot of work. Hasn't got into it. It kind of reminds me of that Portishead thing. Do you know how Portishead did all their drum tracks?
No.
So Matey from Portishead, he was kind of a bit obsessed with finding really, really rare loops, but also not using those specific loops. So what he'd do was he'd find the loops, he would hire a session musician to play them on drums, he'd record them on really bad tape, he would then get them pressed on a dub plate so he could play it back through vinyl
to then
and then use it that way.
It again.
And that's why they've all got that kind of scuzzy really vintage feel.
I did not know that.
So
the pains, the work that's gone into it that no one else will really know
until
someone goes and researches it and finds that out. Because otherwise, you're going to listen to that and just go, oh yeah, it's just obviously just a scratched up, maybe secondhand disc that he's just come across somewhere now. Like, yeah, okay.
He's gone around the houses. There's a really good Trash Theory episode about it. I'll link it in the comments, but it's dead good, and it is about how that you make that scuzzy aesthetic, but actually it's really hard work to do it properly.
It is difficult to make something like intentionally look bad, but not bad in the same way. Like, that kind of gritty thing, or particularly when you're using like found reference material or whatever that's already very polished. That having to like then strip it back, and it's one of those awkward things. Like I make things a lot harder for myself with when I'm using a lot of the type and text in my work. I basically use an old Letraset catalogue, and I do a lot of cutting and pasting and putting things back together. But then you've got to be careful with, if you've got texture in your type, you've got to make sure that you're not mimicking it. You don't want a lowercase e which has that same imperfection across. So you've got to then spend ages sort of looking at things and being like, let's just make sure that it's that forced, almost fake imperfection. But you got to make sure it's still authentic as well at the same time.
What's your favourite photocopier, Mike?
It's whatever one's in my office at work. I don't know what it is. It's really good though. I can get it to do all sorts of things. I'm a bit. We used to have a really shitty one, and I really loved that. And then the place I work for, the higher educational institution I work for, in their wisdom, were like, well, we need to modernise. So they got rid of all the old photocopies, and we were all just like, no. They have a really nice thing. So it's like, it's not even one now where you can lift up the top and put the paper on. It's one where it's nowadays.
Christmas party proof.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where you feed it in and it just copies. Yeah. But the great thing I loved what you used to be able to do, where you scan your photocopy and you're just moving your paper and you're doing all sort of crazy shit like that with it. Because that's how I said when I did that. I don't know if I showed you the big Mr. Blobby exhibition. That's essentially how we made all of our work for the Mr. Blobby show. Just one image that I just then did different things with on a photocopier. And even for a while, when we used to have these copiers at the university that I work at, I used to do classes on what you can do with the photocopier. Because there were like all these functions that no one really understood. That were like, you could get it to overlay, you could get it to... You could feed something, well, not feed something through it, like scan it once and then you'd scan something else and then it just combined them. And you could get it to like step repeat things, you could do all sorts of cool things. And no one knew what any of the functions were, so I just used to do these little classes called artistic photocopiery.
Deep photocopy.
Yeah, basically.
Deep photocopy.
But yeah, I mean, again, a lot of that, those little tips and tricks, I learned from looking at people like Print Mafia's Instagram. So Jim used to do all these little things where he'd not only show you him printing the posters, but it'd be as well, how did we make these positives? How did we actually make this work? And that's that kind of like nitty gritty thing that I absolutely love.
Yeah.
And at my day job, that's the kind of thing that I get really sort of engrossed and bogged down in, is sort of like, how can you make imagery? The different ways of doing something a bit quicker or a bit easier. How can you create different styles? So like the cool thing that like, if you've got a piece of paper and you cut a shape out of it, for example, if you put it on a photocopier but you leave the lid lifted up, where the light goes through the stencil, you just get black. Oh, okay. Because it's not being reflected back. So it doesn't understand. So that's how photocopiers work. It's not reflecting anything back, so you just end up with a black circle in the middle of a piece of white paper, and that suddenly opens up the possibilities of creating positives and creating all these kind of things for screen print. It was for me that was like just like mind blowing stuff. It's, I don't know what else to say. It's just I honestly, gig posts I could just continue for forever and ever and ever. There's like I say, there's just
I won't allow you to.
I know there's just so many good people out there. It was a struggle to even just pick just like kind of even just this is like a flagship for the umbrella of talking about gig posts. I found that a struggle because I was like, there's so many other people out there as well that I do like, but they have very different styles. Like, there's a great French guy called John Massambi, and he's got this like just lovely kind of soul bass kind of illustratory kind of style that just works amazingly with all these kind of French Pyrenees jazz outfits that they're working with. And and you've got people like John Yates, who was originally from Leeds, who then moved to the States, and he did all the Dead Kennedys work and stuff for Alternative Tentacles. And obviously he has a very kind of cut pasty style with what he did with the Dead Kennedys, but also has this quite clinical cutthroat graphic style as well. And he's been doing this really cool series recently where he's doing Punk Note, where it's Blue Note revisions of classic punk albums. So, you know, the Blue Note records, they've got a style, right? They've got like that nice aesthetic, and he's then been applying that to classic art like My War by Black Flag. What would that album look like if you'd did it as a Blue Note cover instead?
Yeah. D. Petty Bonnet.
Yeah. I mean, Pettibon as well is just up there. It's just like, yeah. Occasionally, I'll start with an initial digital source imagery or a digital design, and before I then get to the screen print, like this kind of Portishead style, I'll then print it out, but then rehand draw it or rehand embellish it again to then work back into it in a way. And every time that's happening, that's with Pettibon in mind, to be honest. Like that style, that beautiful painterly drawing. It's really hard to pin it down where it is between painting and drawing, to be honest with him. But that just fantastic style that he has. And his use of white space, I like. I don't do it as much. Everything I always seem to do has like a big solid black or a background of colour. But Pettibon really just like embraces that idea that like white space is okay. Like, I quite like that. Like, and we're doing it here a little bit with this Print Mafia one, a whole host of white background, and that's okay. I need to come to terms with that a little bit more sometimes with my work, but.
Another cross for you to bear.
I know, right? I know. This is becoming therapy.
Right, well, we're moving on now.
We'll move on.
Because you will be here all day. And I agree. I'm a big fan of the
wow, I've talked for like 45 minutes about one thing.
Is it 45 minutes?
Shit.
Wow.
Sorry.
It's all right. So moving on to your next one. This is out there.
Yeah, this is a bit different in terms of what we've just looked at. So before I was making gig posts, and before I was even doing North or Nowt, I had kind of these aspirations and these vivid dreams of being a fine artist, quote unquote. So I went to art school, I did study fine art, and I had these ideas of I'm going to be a fine artist in the future. That's what my future holds for me. And I was doing some printing and screen printing, all that kind of stuff, but I also was really interested in photography. And so this next choice is a poster that I've got actually up in my house at the moment, and it's by Richard Moss. And it's these fantastic photographs that he'd done of this from this series called The Enclave, which was this massive work of art he'd done in the Democratic Republic of Congo during the Civil War there. And it was a big project that had been commissioned by for the Venice Biennale, I think. So that's where it first got shown, for the Irish Pavilion at the Venice Biennale. And the main thing for this whole piece of work was a video. And it was this video using a very specific type of film, which is kind of like an infrared film that turns anything that's got chlorophyll in it, so leaves basically, right? Any undergrowth, anything, leaves, flowers, plants, all that kind of stuff, anything that has chlorophyll in it becomes this bright bubblegum pink. And it was this kind of film that had been developed by the army for identifying people hiding in bush, people who were hiding to then ambush people or attack people. So this film was basically used to seek people out and then, I'm assuming, kill them. And he sort of like then finds out about this film, and he makes this huge art piece, bit of video, and a beautiful series of photographs using the same technology in the same location of the Democratic Republic of Congo. And yeah, you just get these such like starkly contrasting imagery, like it's brutal stuff.
Yeah.
But then it's bubblegum pink as well. And you're just like...
It is. And if we just look at this poster, we've got a man with his back to the camera. He's holding an AK in the air, and he's got what appears to be... He's holding onto a dead body. There's an arm there. And he's just in this lush, pink, cotton candy landscape. It's a really, really arresting image.
Yeah, it's... and it's... Yeah, I mean, it's... Again, I'm cheating with this choice because this is kind of... I'm wanting to talk about the entire project. It's not just this one poster that's interests me about this whole project. It was this whole body of imagery that he created of these. Some of it's like these lush landscapes that are bright pink, and water sort of turns blood red, and all this kind of stuff that happens. And the video itself that went with it was just like the most arresting thing I've probably ever watched in a gallery. Like, you know, like. You've probably experienced it as well, and I definitely experienced it a lot. You go to a gallery, and video art Sometimes it's questionable. Sometimes, very rarely are you going to sit and watch that entire, even if it's like 5 minutes, very rarely you're going to even sit and watch that entire 5-minute video. When I got a chance to see this stuff, it was the first holiday that me and Hattie went on together. We went to Copenhagen, and they were showing this body of work out at a gallery called Louisiana, which is basically just a very fancy, very modern looking house in the middle of nowhere, not in Copenhagen, way up the coast. You have to get like a train for like an hour, and you have to really sort of like rush to get there in time, otherwise you basically don't get in for the day. And there was just this amazing installation of showing this video, and the video is kind of like 10 different screens all at once.
Oh, right.
So everything's kind of looping, and there's maybe things that you don't see at the beginning, and we just sat in there for like 2 hours, just like...
Yeah.
And that's the... there's been no other bit of video artwork since that I've been able to kind of do that with, apart from like when I was forced to watch Derek Jarman's Blue as an art student, which is, if people don't know, it's just basically Derek Jarman talking about the illness and struggle with AIDS, but it's the screen for the entirety of the film is bright blue.
Okay.
And that is it.
Yeah.
And it's like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Or it might not even, I don't even know how long it was anymore, because my concept of time just disappeared when I watched that. But with this, when I'm watching this Richard Moss work, it was just like, again, time disappeared, but not in a bad way, but not in like a way that was like, I'm having to sit through this kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, it's just these. Yeah, it's hard to describe it. It's just that dichotomy of this lush, pink, beautiful landscape, and then the horror and this sort of, jarringness of the rest of the imagery, essentially.
And this is a really amped up example of how photography kind of defines conflicts, particularly like how film stock defines conflicts. Because if you go and look at all the color photography from like the Vietnam era, and that Kodachrome, the Kodachrome and the Ektachrome that they used, particularly what it does to skin tones, everyone looks super tanned.
Yeah.
Everyone looks a bit leathery. All the jungle looks really lush and green, and that kind of imprints on the collective memory. When you look at like the first Gulf War, it's less photographic and it was more news footage, but it was all a bit grey and washed out because it was all very, very video-y and whatnot. That really fascinates me, and this sort of takes that, and that it absolutely ramps it up by using this aerochrome, which is fascinating. I fell down a right wormhole.
I managed to get a hold of some once, and I did do some photos with it. They're really cool. And I was like, obviously while I'm taking it as well, I just didn't believe that it was going to happen. Basically, didn't believe it. If I'm taking pictures of Hattie while we're walking through a woods, I was like, I understand that it's meant to come out pink, but I just don't think it will. And lo and behold, it came back, and bright pink, lush vegetation, and fantastic stuff. I think it was Hattie that bought me the film, actually. It must have cost her an arm and a leg, but very cool stuff, basically. But no, I totally get what you're saying about, essentially, I guess it might not be as much of a thing now, but particularly in conflicts of the past where media outlets from them were so limited, or like not even restricted, but you've only got a choice few people that are there documenting something. That suddenly becomes the only iconography know of that.
That's right.
And it's an interesting thing. I mean, social photography, social commentary. It's something I was very much like, this is where I'm going to be going. This is what I'd love to be doing, and I don't know what happened, but it didn't happen. But again, it's just one of these amazing art forms that are out there, and they're definitely a talking point in our house. We've got a pair of these posters, and the fantastic thing, the posters, they were completely free at the gallery.
Really?
They were ones that they were just like, they're just here for promo, just take them away, and there's a huge stack of them.
Wow.
Stupidly, we didn't buy the artist's book at the show, because that's now worth an absolute bomb, and it was pretty cheap considering for Copenhagen prices as well. We were foolish enough to not buy it at the time, but we came away with these 2 free posters, very carefully rolled them up in our suitcase when we brought them back, and they've just been in our house ever since, up on the wall. So for me, it's a lot of things. It's a very sentimental memory of like going on that first holiday with Hattie, but also there's just this arresting imagery and this sort of beautiful but kind of awful photography at the same time.
I actually had a jacket at one point that would have worked very well in this conflict. It was horrible. I bought it at Reading, 97. And it was an old Swiss Army jacket in Alpenflash. I love camouflage. I'm going to do a whole video on camouflage one time. But it had been dyed purple. It looked disgusting. Like, Alpenflash is disgusting camouflage. They call it pizza camouflage.
Yeah.
It's got like bits of red.
Bits
of red and bits of green.
I remember it from Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater.
It's disgusting camouflage. It was a cool jacket though, because it had like these pockets that they fitted a large can of beer perfectly, and I used it once to steal a not insubstantial amount of Capdown's Rider. So if you're listening, Capdown, see. Who's laughing now, eh? Yeah, that was one for the little guy. Another thing as well that's just occurred to me, just talking about like conflicts in social photography and how the film sort of kind of defines things. It's a great factoid I heard the other day, which is in the American Civil War, when portrait photography suddenly became like a bit of a consumer good. It became quite cheap.
Okay.
So people were getting portraits done. They were all printed on glass plates. And for about a century afterwards, most American greenhouses
were made with
the
actual glass plates.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. And unfortunately, because they're greenhouses, they've all faded with UV exposure over time. But yeah, for ages.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, you see?
That's very cool.
You think you come in here with your big knowledge and your big books, but actually...
No, I mean, that's some cool stuff. The things we do, I guess.
Have you ever fostered a decent resentment against seaside towns, major northern conurbations, and achingly cool lesbian enclaves? Well, then look no further than the fine selection of embedded railway posters available at loudroads.com. But wait, there's more! Anti-court exchange propaganda, basic sound, Helen's Daniels, and whiskey mashups, plus loads of other gobblers. Get it on a bag, get it on a mug, get it on something I've probably forgotten to make a listing for, but if you email me, I'll totally be able to do it. My God, what are you still doing sitting here when you could be exacting revenge against this cruel, cruel world at loudroads.com? We're back. We're back again with Mike from Northall Now, and we're on to your third choice. Is this a love?
This is a love, yeah. So there was 3 loves and 1 hate, and again, it's another cheat. We're going to talk about an entire broad area of printed poster material, and the only thing, it's day glow posters. So, I mean, these 2 examples that I've given you here. Do you remember seeing these?
I don't remember specifically seeing these ones.
No, we live with. They're from the Laundrette.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. Is it McCarthy's?
McCaffrey's? Down on the
next to Bengal Brasserie.
Yeah.
So this third one it's all anything that is printed on day glow paper. So by day glow paper, what we're talking about is bright fluorescent, iridescent paper. The stuff that catches your eye and that you could can be used to promote anything and everything, whether it's the laundrette saying open all bank holiday, or a tanning salon, or it's one of those things that's kind of like a universal material, I feel. But yeah, these specific ones that I'd sort of sent you beforehand, I just remember seeing them vividly from when I first moved to Burley. And the laundrette, when a bank holiday was coming up, he would put that open all bank holiday poster, and it was up in the window, and it was tattered, and it was ragged, and it was clearly just the same one every single time. I think there was he had a different one maybe at Christmas as well, and he doesn't have them there anymore. He's now just got a vinyl on the wall, on the window, which it upsets me a little bit. But yeah, I just remember vividly seeing them and just being like, wow, it's a beautiful object. It's very odd that I find some things that other people may not find beautiful very arresting and sort of very. I don't
judge, Mike.
And I sort of I got sort of really obsessed with what do people do with day glow posters. What can you do? And you can do anything with them basically, which I find really fascinating. So after I sort of noticed these initial ones at the laundrette, in my time as art student, so I was still in my phase of wanting to become a photographer, I then just set about documenting any Dayglow poster I could find out there in the world. I ended up making quite a chunky photo book about it, which I wanted to bring today, and I couldn't find a copy. But there was this the big collection of photographs of posters, all advertising all these different things, which I just loved the fact that it's completely accessible to anyone. Basically, like, you don't have to be a high-end graphic designer or the owner of like some fancy company to print something on Dayglow. It's going to cost you barely any money, and I think we were talking about it on Instagram. It's like, it's also this really ballsy move.
There's nowhere to hide.
Yeah,
there's nowhere to hide on a Dayglow poster.
It is a real like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Move to be like, I'm printing this on Dayglow. And you're gonna look at it, and I don't care if you don't want to look at it. This is gonna catch your eye.
And it's pure black, because you got no grayscale here.
No.
It's just like, your balls out.
For sure.
Committed.
Yeah.
To doing it.
Yeah.
There's a great one in Keighley that's been peeling off the wall for years, which is it's an advert for Britain's hardest farmer, bare knuckle fight. Every time I go,
that is perfect.
It's just a bit more knackered. And one I also loved as well, because I did that thing when you were talking about your photo book.
Yeah.
Well, when lockdown started and I started going for walks around North West Leeds, they were great. I loved them because there was just no one around. It was like being in a Godspeed song. It was just me and the foxes. But every time I went past the Cottage Cinema, they had a big Dayglow poster for military wives, and I kept taking photos of it every time I go past, and it was just getting more and more and more knackered, and that became my sort of time marker for how long it had all been going on for.
I mean, another place that used to do really good ones, and again, they don't do them now, that on Otley Road, if you're heading towards town, that church that has this really brutalist building look to it. They've got that little vitrine, and they always used to put Dayglow posters there as well, and it'd be just these obviously it is about Christianity, and that isn't me, but when you take them out of context, and it's these kind of like very poetic little odd phrases, but just like obviously around Easter there'd be one that'd be like, he dies, and then 3 days later it'd be, he is risen, just on Dayglow, and I'm just like, this is the kind of thing that I want in my house. Or like,
and the thing is like, if it's on Dayglow, like, you're shouting,
yeah,
he's died.
There's no subtlety.
He's risen.
Yeah, there is a real definitiveness to it. Like, there's no ambiguity. Like, this is the thing you need to look at.
Yeah.
If you're looking at something else, you're looking in the wrong place right now. Like, this poster is what you're looking at. And I just love. Yeah, like I say, that you could be a laundrette and make these posters, but equally you could be out there in a viral marketing, high-end graphic design, visual culture world, and you could still resort to this as like a method of getting information out there, and they suddenly would be completely on a par with each other in many ways, in terms of like, it kind of levels a playing field in a lot of ways, I feel, and it's. Yeah, you could go around trying to put imagery on it, but most places that even print Dayglow, they refuse to, because like dot screen and stuff like with bitmaps, because the paper's so thin, or so often than not, it just bleeds, and you get like, you just lose all your definition. So most places they have like, I think when I've had Dayglow posters printed before, you had like, there was like a threshold of how much black content there could be on there. So there was like you had to meet a percentage of like, you couldn't go over 50% coverage. If it was over 50% coverage, it's never going to happen. They're not going to do it for you. But yeah, so I'm so cheap, so accessible. Again, as I say, like when I approached it for doing my own stuff, it was like pennies to like get something printed. And again, I think I was just doing it for this kind of visual arresting effect, and I was just using like, I did it as his art project, and it was these. I should have brought these on. They're probably somewhere. They might be in my office actually. It was like I got really obsessed with. I get obsessed with things. I get obsessed with lots of things.
Really? This is coming as a massive surprise after.
I just really liked when you read a newspaper and you have the captions for the image. I really like the idea of just the caption without the image.
Okay, yeah.
And often, sometimes it's descriptive, sometimes it's giving context. Sometimes that the caption is completely unrelated in many ways, and it's telling you something that like you're not actually seeing in the image there. It's giving you background or something. And so I made these big series of posters that were just the captions on a poster in replacement of like these horrific crime scene images or something like that. But then on this like bright, vivid pink and green. And I before I came here this morning, actually, I was like, I better like do a little bit of reading up on Dayglow and why Dayglow exists and all this kind of stuff. And it kind of feeds back into your camouflage comment, actually.
Oh, really?
It was something that kind of like, it's like 1920s, 1930s that someone discovers like the chemical compounds and properties that allow them to make fluorescent inks. And then from there, like most good inventions and good technological advancements, the military's like, how can we use this?
How can we kill someone with this?
What can we do with this? And then they come up with all that kind of crazy camouflage like you're talking about. So yeah, like the bright pinks and then the bright yellows and for like all that kind of stuff. And then how do we use it to like, do we put decals on fighter pilots and the ships? And I mean, I love those, the original like the dazzle patterns they used to put on warships and that kind of stuff. That stuff is fascinating because it's modern art.
Yeah, it's cubism.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It is modern art in every sense of the word, and it somehow just ended up on a battleship, and it somehow does things optically to people that makes them invisible in many ways. It's kind of the crazy
thing. Makes it hard to shoot with a torpedo.
Apparently. I still don't fully understand how that works. But...
I could get into this.
Okay.
I'm not going to.
The optics
I'm not gonna.
of it.
But no, it's to do with the fact that if you're shooting torpedoes, there's a lot of maths.
You have like depth and trajectory. And...
Yeah, you've got to work out where someone's going, how quick they're going.
Okay,
And you need a lot of reference points for that. And you put dazzle camouflage on a ship, then it becomes very difficult to do all those calculations. Okay. So it's that hiding in plain sight.
And in Russian.
Yeah. It's hiding in plain sight sort of thing. Like you're not going to become invisible, so you might as well just make it really hard.
I see.
To do all that stuff too.
Okay. But I've also got a poster of the dazzle patterns in my house as well. Because again, there's this quite a nice like modernist art piece. But yeah, I mean, sorry, back to the Dayglow, and suddenly seeing this morning about the military trying to co-opt it, and then that suddenly took my mind to something else where I have like this other little magazine which I couldn't find again this morning. It's somewhere in the house of like a boys' SAS comic book, and there's this amazing little page of it of this bright pink military jeep, and it's kind of like
the Pink Panthers.
Yeah,
the Pink
exactly.
Panthers. Yeah. Works well in the desert.
Yeah, I can imagine it would, to be honest. I don't know how well it would have gone down in this like 1950s boys comic of this bright pink Jeep. Whether they would have been.
They always got a pass. They always got a pass. Like they could dress like that, and everyone would be fine because they were the SAS.
They can do what they want.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they'll fucking kill you.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. They did some aircraft like that. I'm sure there were some tornado variants, some of the reconnaissance variants, where they did like that kind of very soft pink sort of effect. It's got, quite gentle death creeping up on you.
Gentle death. But yeah, I mean, so that's where my mind's gone with all of this. To be honest, it's just this as a broad group of
genre
things that you could look at. I would happily kind of just look at anything if it was printed on a bit of Dayglow paper.
Are you legally allowed to have a car boot sale without a Dayglow poster?
I don't think so.
I think you'd get
I've definitely
a lot of trouble for that.
I've definitely got loads of fluorescent, the kind of like explosion ones.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of those, and I was just like, just for no reason, they're blank. And they're just in my house, and they're just nice things to have. I'm sure if you manage to convince Jenna to come on here, you'll also be talking about Dayglow once again.
We certainly will. We'll have to adjust the colour grading slightly
for hers. Yes. But yeah, it's just I can't fully explain why it was so like in my head as like we've got to talk about this, or this is something that's really important. It's just one of these I just can't. If I go somewhere and I see one, I have to make a note of what it is. I have to I just can't not look at it in the simplest form, which obviously is why it exists. But like, to the point where I like have to like look at it.
They've done a right number on you, Mike.
But even the most banal of things, that if you put it on Dayglow, suddenly it becomes something else.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, I saw these amazing ones once that were just like prices and times, and that's all it was. So it was like, it just said like 100 minutes, £5. And then it was only when I got round to the front of this building that I saw it was a tanning salon. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, that makes sense now.
Adjust my plans now.
Yeah. But it's just one of those kind of things. And again, often it's so typography based, which words, again, they just have this very manufactured and man-made thing. It's... yeah, I really can't fully get it into words, I'm afraid to say. But there's some really endearing quality about them that I just absolutely love. And I'm glad you like them as well. We had a bit of a confusion, didn't we, on the Instagram?
Yeah, we did. We did. But no, I'm really pro Dayglow.
I thought you were anti Dayglow, and you thought I was anti Dayglow.
No. Turns out we're both pro. No, it's great. It's the punch you in the face school of posterism.
Sure.
And I'm not a sophisticated man.
No. Come on.
I like things that do what they say on the tin. You know, when talking about fine art, I have a lot of trouble with that term.
Right, yeah. It's a loaded term.
Well, there's so many ways it could go. Is it fine because it's tiny? Is it fine because it's like fine? Is it the way it kind of makes all other art sound? It makes it sound like it's not fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, I mean, it is one of those odd things, isn't it? As soon as you start calling something fine art, you can immediately turn someone off and like be like, well, I don't fit into the fine art world, therefore it's not for me, and then you'll alienate people straight away. And you get that same thing where people I think people start trying to get around it by using terms like highbrow and lowbrow, and they were using lowbrow to like define a lot of this kind of material. So like stuff that's about popular culture, and suddenly like illustration that wasn't fine art, illustration that was comics or, you know, graphic novels became lowbrow, and it just became this really, it seems like this really dickish thing. It's obviously someone who thought they were highbrow decided to come up with those terms to be like, well, you know, this isn't fine art, therefore it's still art. We understand that it's art, but we'll call it something else. And I've experienced that actually when I studied fine art. When I studied fine art, I had a brief stint where I went and studied at the Hungarian Institute of Fine Arts in Budapest, which was fantastic. Great university, but very, very traditional. You know, you could go and you could do life drawing class all day, every day if you wanted. I never went to that. I did screen printing for a year instead. And they had this, like, it was just this, like, really dirty word, being a screen printer there. It was, like, this really just, like, oh.
Yeah.
You're not doing etchings, you're not doing lithography, like, what you're doing isn't fine art. Yeah. You're doing graphic design. And I was like, no, I'm on a fine art course. And they're like, no, screen print is for graphic design. And it was this really dirty word. And it sometimes still feels a little bit like that nowadays in the print world, in the fine art, quote unquote, print world. Like, if you went to, like, Woolwich contemporary print fair down south, or, you know, these ones that call themselves affordable print fairs. You know, when it's like their idea of affordable is £200 for an etching or a lithograph. You know, it's again, the idea of a screen print is a bit sort of frowned upon and a bit no.
See, I'm the absolute worst because I am trenchantly middlebrow, you know, which is that's not the place you want to be. I'm like a series of Miranda. Middlebrow. Filthy word. Okay, now
I think we're on the last one.
We're on the last one, and this is rank, Mike. I can't believe you.
I feel so bad that it came into my head.
I can't believe you brought us into my house. I apologise to my printer when I was printing this out. What's going on here? Tell the boys and girls at home.
Explain. So we'll have all seen it through the windows of every student household everywhere in the UK. It is the cover of, I think the album was just called Back, or was it called Back Catalogue? It was the album of Pink Floyd's Back Catalogue, and the album cover is a series of 6 nude women with the covers of the 6 Pink Floyd albums painted onto their backs. And honestly, I just absolutely hate this poster. It's absolutely, it really frustrates me. It really annoys me. It annoys me that it's so everyone seems to have it, and you can't move people owning it. It's nudity when it's completely unnecessary. It feels like complete objectification, and the fact that it's a band's back catalogue. So Pink Floyd by this point must have been pretty old guys on their album cover just being like, let's have some nude women. For me, I'm just like, nah.
But the worst thing about that is, like, yes, it's blatant objectification, but you can see that they've tried to dress it up. You can see that, like, it's cool. We've got an Asian woman here. We've got a black woman. We've got a ginger woman who might be Irish. We've got a very white woman here. So we've got the kaleidoscope of colour. This is fine. We're not problematic. We've ticked the boxes here. You can see that that's the train of thought that's gone on here. And
I mean, I was like this morning, I was like, I better just do a little bit of reading up on this, just so I'm not like making a terrible choice, or I've completely missed the point. I haven't missed the point. No. I think I'm completely correct in my thoughts that this is a bad poster. But the fact that when I was reading up on like their like decision making process during it, they were like, well, the album, the brief was about a back catalogue, and we thought, let's take that literally and we'll put the catalogue on people's backs. No. And it's like, okay, for starters, like straight away, I'm like, come on. This is some big graphic design house, a company that it's by pretty much the same people, or like it was like good friends of the people who designed the original covers anyway as well. Yeah, which really annoys me because so much of the Floyd covers are fantastic. Yeah. And I'm not even a massive Floyd fan, but I can tell you what the album covers are. I know that. Like, I remember seeing the cow one. I can't remember what the name of the album is. I remember seeing that in my dad's catalogue and his like collection, just being like, what the fuck is this? Yeah. Like, it's just a cow on a cover. And that was doing crazy things in my mind. And like, But then when they start, I just really was like, we'll just paint these same exact covers that already were amazing. And we'll paint them kind of subpar. And we'll just do this whole other thing with them. And then I was reading about, they were like, initially we were going to have men and women's backs. But then we thought, well, record sleeves are all the same shape. And men and women have different backs.
Oh, come
Therefore, we only chose women. It's like, why don't you just choose guys? Like, why didn't you just get the members of Pink Floyd? And why didn't you just paint it on their fucking backs? Kind of thing. It's just like, that kind of thing.
I'm angry now, Mike.
Yeah, trying to like claw it back of like, it's fine. We thought about the other possibility, but you know what? This was the best graphic design decision. No, it really isn't.
They just don't make it easy, Pink Floyd, because like despite this outwardly quite spiky appearance and being in the punk scene for years, like at my irreducible core, there is nothing but vile hippie. I grew up in the West Country. I can't deny my essence.
Okay, yeah.
And I love Dark Side of the Moon. Mm-hmm. I adore that album. I like Wish You Were Here as well.
I mean, I basically only like the song Wish You Were Here off the album Wish You Were Here, but I've not listened to it all though. That's the thing. I'm like very much sheltered by. I wasn't exposed to enough of it. My dad didn't sit me down and be like, we're listening to Dark Side of the Moon.
Oh, I had a very teenage awakening experience to Dark Side of the Moon, and it it's one of those proper imprinted moments on me. But like they kind of remind me of Tool. Like I can listen to Tool fans and Tool themselves make it very, very, very difficult. And Pink Floyd are the same. Like, I mean, particularly at the moment, now that Roger Waters has like totally gone off the deep end.
He's gone mad, hasn't he?
He's absolutely lost it. He's off his mash. And it's just all of a piece, isn't it?
Yeah.
This poster I could see in a dentist's, a high-end dentist's
it's a real
waiting room.
Yeah, but it's also like one of those real bachelor pad kind of things.
Yeah.
You put this alongside the poster for Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah, these two things. And I'm not saying, again, the cover of Pulp Fiction it's a great cover as a DVD cover.
Yeah.
But I don't need to see it in every single other person's house. And for everyone to still actually think that it's some sort of unique signifier of, look how independent and cool I am, because I've got this auteur's poster on my wall. I mean, again, and this it just really just pushes my buttons in the wrong way, this poster.
The thing it screams to me is mid-90s stepdad with a Ford probe. I know that's very, very specific, but but yeah, it's one of those ones where they're like, sit down and listen.
Yeah, you're not getting
listening
it. You're not
to
getting
this
it.
album. You're not listening to it.
It's not just about the music; it's what's going on underneath the music, in between the gaps. Yeah, I mean, to be honest as well, the ultimate favourite bit of any Floyd album isn't even the music. My favourite bit is The Wall, and it's that sample of the head teacher going, your meat, how can you eat your pudding if you don't eat your meat? And it is like, that just occasionally just pops into my head every now and again. So at work, I just have to shout it every now and again. I just shout it for no reason. And there's only one person in my office who actually understands what I'm on about now. But I had to also I had to get up the song, and he was like, I know this song, I've never heard that bit in it before. And I was like, it is the only bit of this song that sticks in my mind from childhood. This one little bit, purely because as well, if we've had it in the car, that bit comes on, my dad instinctively has to go, your meat! How can you have your pudding if you don't have your meat? And that's all I can remember of that song.
I have a lot of trouble with The Wall. I think it's a very po-faced album, but it's one of those like where you go to somewhere where they have had like a history of quite an oppressive government.
Yeah.
It's like held up as like a kind of cultural icon, isn't it? Like,
well, like anyone who went to a strict school, anyone who went to school in the 50s, basically.
Yeah, and is now a dentist.
That's probably in their top 10 of albums to listen to. But yeah, this poster just does nothing for me.
It's terrible.
It's just, I just can't believe that a band that big would produce an album cover that bad. It just makes me so annoyed. Because again, it's one of these things where all of this stuff gets vetted, and this design will have gone through so many levels of quality control, and people going, looks good to me, seems fine, and then it's just kept going. And then did they reach a point where they were like they couldn't turn back anymore, or was it they were just willfully ignorant to the fact that it's an awful cover?
Yeah, just absolutely high on their own supply.
Yeah.
Have you ever listened to Dub Side of the Moon?
No, I haven't. It feels like I should do.
You know I like dub. But dub Side of the Moon's brilliant. It's probably the Easy Star All Stars, and it is just a dub track for track cover of Dark Side of the Moon, and it's absolutely brilliant. But that's my own personal foibles coming out there.
But yeah, I mean, like I say, actually finding a poster that I reviled as much as this was difficult.
Oh, well, I think you've done a bang-out job.
Yeah, it was. I think I literally was walking past the student's house and I caught it out of the corner of my eye. When I was thinking about all of this as well, I was just like, yep, that's it.
There we go. Bing, bang, bong. And so you've sullied our minds.
I'm sorry.
With this atrocity. No, I asked you to.
I mean, we could have used
you
it
did what you were told.
Even this morning, though, I was suddenly thinking, I could have used this as a platform for, bad-mouthing the Tories, or, bad-mouthing the lies of Boris Johnson and the Brexit catastrophe. And because obviously there were posters. There were, all of these regimes, the fascist regimes that dictate all of our world still. They got to have graphic design done somewhere.
Yes, they do.
Who the fuck are these people that is doing the graphic design for these people? And someone somehow, again, is able to come to terms with it and is okay with the fact that they create this tripe and this crap that we end up seeing.
Do you remember the David Cameron posters? The really badly photoshopped one that got absolutely mercilessly lampooned. It was I can't remember what the original slogan was because there were so many other slogans done. Because it's where I cut my teeth. It's how I got into this game. It was actually
You work for David Cameron.
No,
You made those posters.
it wasn't me. It was the first thing of mine that like got a bit of traction was like a version of one of those posters. But like it was one of those where you look at it and you're just like, who's signing off anything here?
Yeah.
Who's in charge? Because
Well, I mean, it's people that have no creative bones in their bodies and they complete egomaniacs. And
I have a feeling you're right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would be remiss to say not getting at least once in this video blog to not say fuck the Tories and fuck the fucking Tories. But yeah, there we go.
You are well within your rights. You're well within your rights there, Mike.
Fantastic.
Well, thank you very much for coming on. Thank you for bringing this awful thing to my attention. You don't leave here empty-handed. You know, you'll be pleased to know.
I missed this bit on the other one.
So, first of all, you get a mug.
Fantastic.
There you go. Don't worry, Lincoln got one. Lincoln did get one.
Yeah, I was going to say, I must have missed the last few minutes.
No, Lincoln got a mug as well. But also, you know, I've got that terrifying heat press.
I know.
Things. So you get a 4-poster Neds medal, which is kind of blurred because I kept the plastic protective wrapping on it when I was heat pressing it. There you go. It says,
it's actually metal as well.
Yeah. No, it's full on. I am special. I am a 4-poster Ned.
Thank you.
And if you want a mug and something awful from my heat press, then you better volunteer to come on because that's how it works.
Yeah. Fantastic.
No, this has been great. And as we said before, if you want to see Mike's stuff, you can do it at northornout.com. Is it .com?
.com, yeah.
.com or northornout on Instagram.
Search North or Now, you'll get there.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
A pleasure.
A pleasure.
You're gonna use a bad tool to cut out this man, and then you're gonna find the record cover and hope no one minds about the copyright, which I'm sure I'm infringing, but I think so bad. But is it really infringing? I think it's open to debate. Oh yeah. And then you're gonna use the warp tool to put it on his belly, stretch it across, then use the blending modes and find a dentist and stick a foot probing and draw a little shadow. Here comes the awful solo now. I'm so bad at solos, yeah. Did I ever tell you how bad I am at both singing and solos? Oh, it's self-evident at this point. Like and subscribe or something. Come back for the next one. I don't know. It'll probably be good. Maybe. Bye.